here and I'm printing medical face shields. This happens to be an extended version for people that need to use an eye loop or something like that behind the shield. But what I really wanted to do was kind of explain how to get going with printing these shields. So this one's all printed. You can see though that I have marked on the glass surface, and I'm printing directly on the glass, and I'm using some little painter's tape in some key places where it tends to lift up and separate from the glass. So on my printer, the PLA comes in and goes into this gear drive. So that's the filament gear drive, and you can remove the filament by squeezing this together and pulling it out, but the tip has to be hot first. So when you're changing filaments, you need to find the menu item that allows you to set the temperature. And so with mine, I press on PLA, and then you can see that it's going to set the nozzle to 200 and the bed to 60. For changing the filament, you don't really need, and then it will just heat the filament. And then when I'm ready to change the filament, I just squeeze this together, and with my other hand I pull the filament right out, all the way out. Pull it nice and quickly, but don't jerk, just smooth, quick pull, and that'll get it out. And then to load it, you kind of do the reverse thing. Again, make sure the head is up at a good temperature for PLA, and then you just feed the filament in. But there is one thing I do before I put the filament in. I have this, these are dart sharpeners, and so I use these, hard to do with one hand here, but I'll take the filament and I'll put it down in there like that, and I'll twist it and turn it and make sure that there are no sharp edges on the filament when it goes in. If there are, it can get stuck in the different pieces inside the head there. So I have the G-code for the shield on here, and just plug it in. Your machine probably different than mine, but just plug that in. And on mine, this printer's got something weird here. So you can see I only have the glass held down by 4 binder clips on the left side, and that's because of this fan unit right here. It comes all the way down to the level of the head, and so anytime this fan gets over this far, the print is disrupted if I have binder clips on the right side here, so I had to take them all off. Same thing with the back and the front. So you kind of have a section here which is a keep out section because of the binder clips. Also, because of the binder clips, if I were to start the print now, and then when it's ready, the head comes over like this and then it gets stuck on the binder clip. So I need to push this all the way back, and then it will be fine. And this is the home position here pretty much. So if you think about the table as X, Y, this is 0, 0. So now I'm ready to print, and I just go to print, and then I have a couple files on here, and what I'm printing now is this dental DMT V3 G-code. That is the larger mask, face shield, sorry. And I just start it, and in the case of my printer, it starts heating the bed first, and then it starts heating the nozzle. So That's why the nozzle is at 0, so you just have to wait. But my printer gives you good elapsed time, so you can come back and when it's finished, you know how long it took. And it's usually different than what the slicer says. It's usually longer on this printer. The slicer says 2 hours and 30 minutes, it's 3 hours actual. And then the height and the progress. I don't place a lot of value on this progress bar. It's not very accurate. But the time is accurate. So we're waiting for it to start printing. One of the things I wanted to tell you is that the most important thing to getting a good print to stick to the surface is the bed leveling. So I've had this bed leveled for a good long time now, so that it prints solidly day in, day out. But you're going to have to level your bed, and there are these screws underneath your bed, and in my case it's in all 4 corners. And there's a leveling software in here, and you go through that. And I use a sheet of paper to measure, to make sure there's some resistance here. But usually that leveling is not sufficient. So you have to keep an eye on the first print. And you'll see if, I'll try to get some pictures, but you'll see if the bed is too low, then you'll see the filament either not getting on the bed or like curling up and beading and stuff like that. And so you have to raise that corner. And remember, when you raise one corner, you're really raising the whole bed. You know, just that one corner is more, but the other corners also get raised a little bit. There are also cases where it's too close to the head, and that's the most dangerous case, because when it's too close to the bed, then think about it. The nozzle with this little tiny 4mm hole is scraping across the glass surface and plugging it up so that the filament can't come out. So sometimes you'll see it's like really mushed down and like clear, when it should be, in my case I'm using white, it should be white. It should be a nice white bead, and mushed just enough so that it sticks. And I'll show you that here when it starts printing. It's almost there. And here we go. Now the first one, you know, as it starts, you can see there's really, it doesn't look like there's a little bits coming out, but you can see when it first starts, it just needs a little time for the filament to start flowing. So don't worry about that first run. But now you can see how nice that is. It's not too flat, but it's nice and wide, a little bit mushed on the glass, and that's what you really want to see. And then you can see that I have the tape over the areas that are kind of sticking out where they need a little more support to stay on the glass. The nice thing about printing on glass is that it's fairly easy to take off. And so what I do is I use the flat side of a scraper to get underneath between the tape and the shield and the plastic, and then it just pops right off. And then you can reuse the tape. You don't have to keep putting new tape down each time.